3.
Yummy like a gummy bear.
It's the internet. You're busy. Let's do this for June 28th, 2024. For the next hour or so, let me help you sort through the world of gaming on Game Mess Mornings Live with me, Jeff Grubb. Today, Tam is here, so the universe has given us a reason to talk about Metal Gear and Kojima. But first, please join me in welcoming today's co-host to Game Mess Mornings. It is Tamoor Hussain. Tam, how are you doing?
I'm here. I'm ready to talk about Metal Gear Solid. Yeah, I love it. I was going over my old Metal Gear Solid casting yesterday with one Ben Starr, and it was a good time. We both agreed that I have the best casting. We also agreed that the casting is impossibly expensive because everyone is like someone amazing.
What's the one you're most proud of in your fan casting of the Metal Gear movie?
Psycho Mantis, Willem Dafoe.
Holy shit. That's perfect. That's really, oh my God, he would crush that. Oh man, okay, yeah.
He would nail that so much, man.
That would be a good time. I would love to see that. Hey, where are you at in terms of like the movie ever happening? Because boy, that's the one that feels like it's been around the longest that still hasn't happened.
Oh, it's not going to happen.
Yeah, I think that's where most fans are at.
It's not. Is Avi Arad even doing stuff anymore? Like, I feel like that was a moment for flexing and nothing more.
Yeah, I try not to think about Avi Arad too much at all in my life. But yeah, I think most recently he did like some recent Spider-Man thing again. So, how involved is he in that? I think he just had his name is attached to those things.
How old is Avi Arad at this point? Isn't he like 1 trillion years old?
I think,
wasn't he born at the same time as like cameras?
I think he's just drinking a bunch of adrenochrome. So I think he's probably ageless at this point.
He's got the baby blood.
He's got the baby blood and the Hollywood
My
baby
man is
blood.
75 years old. He's only 5 years old from running for president.
Shit, you took the joke, you motherfucker. Oh man. I was like, so not old enough to run for president.
Oh my God. I was like, I've seen these two in the lands between. I'm pretty sure I killed them using torrent.
I for shoot could not even glance at it. I'm at a point where
the
like
entire thing is the funniest thing I had ever seen, man.
Oh, I'm at a point where I am completely overtaken by nihilism when it comes to this stuff, and I'm trying not to spread it. I'm trying to like just keep my mouth shut and not spread the nihilism because other people don't need this. But boy, I have been broken since 2016, Tam, and don't really believe in a future for this place. And last night's, what I got from like secondhand did not give me a lot of faith, but whatever.
I'm gonna set up a big boss style out of heaven and everyone's invited.
That sounds pretty good. Let's just do that instead.
Obviously, I run it. So yeah, you do what I say.
Well, yeah, of course.
If I send you on a mission, you're going.
Shit. Well, still sounds better, Tam. I'm showing up. Take me to Gamer Genosha.
Yeah.
All right, let's explain what we do here. Most weekdays, I, Jeff Grubb, will help piece your gaming life back together. That includes breaking news and maybe even some of our own original reporting. For all these topics, I'll get the input of a bona fide expert who will make me look smart. If you are watching live on Twitch, welcome. You can always listen to the show later on podcast feeds by searching for Game Mess Mornings or find the RSS on giantbomb.com. You can also catch the show later with chapters and timestamps on YouTube. Hello, YouTube. All right, we have a lot to get into, so let's start the morning mess with Konami producer would love to work with Hideo Kojima on Metal Gear Solid.
Let's start with the morning mess with Jeff. What is that shirt?
Yeah, it's my Gon shirt from Super Monkey Ball. Sega sent it to me.
Yeah.
I wanted to talk about it, so thank you, Tam.
Let's go.
Yeah, they sent like the little care package thing for the new Super Monkey Ball game, and it had like a luggage tag. And so I have the video. I'll probably post it somewhere. But I'm most excited that I picked like, who's your favorite character? I'm like, I like Gon style, and I lucked out because that meant I got this shirt. I think Dan got a package as well. I don't know who he picked, but I don't think he picked Gon. So I'm like curious what he got because this is clearly the best piece of merch you can get.
I on the eve of you going on a vacation, you are going on vacation, right?
That's right. Yep.
I think that's the most incredible choice of shirt.
I am exactly. I'm so ready for it now. For audio listeners, it is a button up shirt with the bananas all over the place in green. It is something that Gon wears. I posted a tweet about it, so if you want to check that out, go for it.
Yeah. Thank you. I just wanted to know that.
Sean, you want that video? Okay, cool. I'll put it in the vertical video thing because I shot it as that, so you guys can put it up on the socials. Cool. All right, let's get into this. It really does always seem to work out that there is Metal Gear Solid and Kojima news when you're on the show. I wonder if that's like, it's Friday, so writers on websites are like just looking for something to write about, and this is like, this is something that people always care about, and they're right. Blair Marnell from GameSpot says, for decades, Hideo Kojima was one of the top video game designers and directors at Konami, as well as the driving force behind the Metal Gear series. But in 2015, Kojima left Konami behind and struck out on his own. The relationship between the two sides was reportedly strained, with Jeff Keighley revealing Kojima was not allowed by Konami to attend that year's Game Awards. Regardless, at least one producer at Konami would love to bring Kojima back to the franchise that he created. Via Video Games Chronicle, Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater producer Noriaki Okamura expressed his admiration for Kojima during a live stream. Okamura also shared his desire to have Kojima return to Metal Gear Solid in the future. He basically goes on to say, I'm just speaking for myself, but I would love it. And I suppose that's nice to hear. But Tam, what do you think?
It's like me when I say I would love to see Kevin Durant return to the Warriors. Yeah. Kevin Durant ain't got no fucking interest in doing that.
Yeah, it kind of feels like that a little bit. Listen, I don't think on the grand scale of time that this is never a possibility. But it does feel a bit early still for like these sorts of conversations to even be entertained at this point, right?
Yeah, I feel like Kojima has... I mean, like we all Metal Gear fans know that repeatedly Kojima has attempted to like move away from Metal Gear multiple times. That's always been the story, right? Like they keep pulling him back in for just one more run. And like regardless of how it went down, it is a break. It's a clean break away from that franchise for him. Like I am sure there's a possibility where many years from now when he's like Sam Raimiing it, when he's like older and like there's not as much going on, and people are like, what if we got Kojima back to do one more Metal Gear movie and Metal Gear game movie, Freudian slip, and that's when he might be like, yeah, I'll do that. I'll remake the original Metal Gear, like the original, like connect the final remaining piece of the puzzle and like put that entire thing to bed. But right now he's busy making, the world's greatest walking simulators. Yeah, and all the world's greatest falling down simulators, which I think are just fantastic. I love Death Stranding so much; it's so funny.
Yeah, Death Stranding really won me over time, so I'm glad.
Yeah, it's such an earnestly stupid game.
Yes,
like,
and I'm here
in every way. Like no one else is making that game. No one else is coming up with that game. No one else is even thinking about that.
Like combining his sensibilities with like sim games on PC. And it's like, wait, that those two worlds can't collide, and he just smushed them together in such a perfect way.
He's like, I've got this actor lad. You might have seen him in Norman's Reedus. You might have seen him in Walking Dead, and he's
father of Mingus Reedus, of course.
Yeah, yeah. And like he's like, well, all the Kojima is right now. He is hanging out with more celebrities than he ever has before.
What do you think Hollywood thinks of him? Because he was like, today I think he tweeted or that he was at A24, or maybe it was yesterday. Do you think in Hollywood they're like, listen, there's a guy, he's going to come by, he's going to knock on your door, he's going to want to hang out with you, just let him in. He's cool.
Just let him in? Yeah.
It's easier if you just let him in and take pictures of you and put him in his probably portable scanner at this point, and then let him leave. And then
if you don't, he will attach a balloon to your ass and just like you will disappear into the sky. You'll never be seen again. Yeah, you'll be in a world ruled by a fucking game journalist. You're cooked. Don't do it. But yeah, I feel like he's living his best life right now. You couldn't convince him to stop making his game about walking and falling down and also hanging out with Hollywood celebrities. Like that's wild. That's never going to happen. However, I do think like he's definitely cooking some stuff. I feel like if there's anyone, the the Death Stranding thing is from last year, the A24, is because they are making that movie, right?
Oh, yeah, there was just a picture of him at
yeah,
A24. That's right. They are making that movie. That's right.
So
Yes.
if anyone can make that transition, it's him.
Yes.
Not just because like he's a massive fanboy of that stuff, but because like he has cachet and he has
clearly.
like and like he has people that can vouch for him. More importantly, like you speak to anyone in Hollywood and be like, "Is this guy all right?" Norman Reedus is going to be like, "Yep," you know. All the other people that he has worked with, Kiefer or whoever it may be, you'll be like, "Yeah, I work with him. He's got he completes projects.
Yeah,
they're kind of wild and they're crazy, but like he will complete that stuff,
right?"
And now he's just like racking it up. Where it's like George Miller is like, "I would vote for you for president," and he's like, "Yeah, cool, sweet."
Yeah, and like that was like the big question after Metal Gear. It's like, well, that Death Stranding game, that's never going to come out. That's going to take 10 years. And then he got it out really quickly. Smashed it out. Yeah. And I think that you're right. It's proven that he can kind of get stuff done, and people appreciate that across all mediums. My guess here is that all the stuff you mentioned that he's cooking right now. Yeah, he is working with A24 on a movie. He is making Death Stranding 2. He's got that cloud-based game with Microsoft. Probably going to try to do more movies as well going forward, like working with Hollywood as much as he can going forward. Clearly likes that stuff a ton. I think you're right that as he sort of settles down on the other side of this like new renaissance that he's in the middle of, I think he'll probably be like, if Konami came to me and asked to like put my name on the box and kind of come over and be an executive producer and oversee a few things and offer my sort of a George R.R. Martin role that he had on Elden Ring, where it's like, here's like a Bible I wrote and I can provide insight and you can definitely put my name in the credits and in the marketing. I think that's where this ends up in the long run if he were to ever come back to Metal Gear. It's not a guarantee. We could go through the end of the universe and he never goes back and works on Metal Gear in any way ever again. That is obviously a possibility. But I think the more likely thing is the way I always think about wrestling, where these guys hate each other, and then 10 years later, like, and we're back in the WWE. I'm working with Vince McMahon again. I'm like, what the hell? And it's always because money.
I want to see Hideo Kojima run out at Summer Game Fest and hit Jeff Keighley over the head with a chair.
I think we deserve that.
Oh my god, it is Hideo Kojima.
It's Kojima's music.
Yeah, and Keighley reacts like Vince McMahon being stone cold stunned, where he somehow has like he's balancing on his head and doing a flip at the same time, and you're like, holy shit, what happened to Keighley?
Keighley would put Kojima over.
Keighley would, 100%.
Yes.
He would sell that shit like crazy. You got to respect Keighley for that. You know that if his boy is coming out and hitting him with a steel chair, he's making his boy look like the most powerful
make him look
steel
strong.
Chair wielder ever known to man. And you know what? I love that. That. I wouldn't be surprised. I would love to see one of these crazy, like Hideo Kojima talks to this person likes him, kind of moments actually materialize in something. Like I would be 1,000,000% up for Kojima making a Mad Max game, like another one.
Yeah,
that would be like he made a dude on a fat dude on a roller skates with submachine gun. He can come up with some absolutely absurd like freaks for that universe. You know what I mean? Like pogo stick guy.
Yeah, and his design sensibilities match up with that stuff real well. Where it's just like, here, like you described, and then it's like, and then here's a guy just called, Death Claw Man.
This is Die Hard Man.
Die Hard Man.
No, I did that already.
Yeah, and but that like those names also just sound like they could be out of Mad Max.
Yeah, Mad Max's big antagonist will be another character called Max Madman, and they'll be like, "Whoa, what happened here?"
Drive Hard Man, starring Nick Cage, or Drive Angry Man, I should say.
Water Eater. And it's like, oh my god.
Hey, either way, I'm where I'm at with Kojima is, he'll tweet his stuff about movies, and sometimes I'll roll my eyes, and then he puts out a new trailer for his games, and I'm always there for it. He is literally the best that's ever done it when it comes to getting people hyped for games. Mm-hmm. And then the games come out and they usually live up to expectations in surprising ways. And I feel kind of lucky to have him still. Yeah, so whatever he wants to do, just do it. I think it's fun. Gaming is more fun when Kojima's cooking.
Yes, 100%. Do you want to know who I cast in my Metal Gear movie as Fat Man?
Give me it.
Vincent D'Onofrio.
Holy shit. Oh,
Yes.
it's perfect.
Yes, it's perfect.
Do you think they
You
would
can't
all
get
work
better
for
than Vincent
scale?
D'Onofrio.
Maybe you can afford if they all work just to come in.
If you
Like,
put me in a room with each of them, I'll
Yeah.
have a conversation, and I'm telling you, they would be ready for it afterwards.
listen, you just get the points on the back end. It's going to be a massive success.
Yeah, it's going to be huge. It's going to be huge.
All right, so let's move ahead here. Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree climbs to mostly positive review rating on Steam, despite continued performance issues. This is from Kyle Knight at DualShockers. Last week, FromSoftware released the first and last expansion for Elden Ring, Shadow of the Erdtree. While it launched to critical acclaim, it didn't take long for the DLC to receive a mixed review score on Steam, mainly due to performance issues and unbalanced boss fights, and that's in quotes.
And crybaby gamers.
And crybaby gamers. To combat crybaby gamers' complaints that Shadow of the Erdtree was too difficult, FromSoftware released patch 1.12.2 earlier this week, which aimed to make the beginning of the DLC a little easier by increasing the attack and damage negation for the first half of the maximum amount of blessing enhancements, while also making the second half more gradual. The patch also increased the attack and damage negation granted by the final leveling of the blessing enhancements. While the patch didn't include any performance improvements on PC, FromSoftware did acknowledge that players were experiencing unstable frame rates and said, "We have confirmed a bug where the ray tracing settings are automatically enabled if you have previously loaded save data from previous game versions," FromSoftware said. The studio then instructed players who were experiencing issues to navigate to the in-game settings and disable ray tracing, blah, blah, blah. The story here is mostly, I think this was going to happen no matter what. That as people got used to the game, they were going to get on the other side of it and be like, oh, no, actually, this is awesome, and I'm used to it now. And I think the patch sort of facilitated that process. Listen, the patch doesn't change all that much. It doesn't really. It's not a vast,
It's a placebo patch.
It's a placebo patch, exactly. And I think people are like, oh, okay, well, thank you for doing that now. And now I feel more capable. And they're more capable because they got good. And they probably went out there and got a few more skibbity tree fragments. And that made all the difference, right?
I think so. Well, I think it was... it's really funny because I did not expect any of this.
Same.
I was like, oh, this is... I remember going in there being like, "Oh, this is tricky.
Right.
I need to lock in," and I locked in, and I didn't have any trouble with any of that game. Obviously, I reached points where I was like, "This is a difficult boss," but again, I need to lock in. What's my camera doing?
Your camera I think it's being racist.
I think it is as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just was not ready for like this level of like people being stuck on it.
Yeah.
So the fact that they did this is obviously good for those people because you get more opportunities to not have an experience pretty much immediately where you're like struggling. I think that's the important thing that they wanted. They didn't want people to feel like from the get-go that it felt impossible, if you know what I mean.
Right.
So I don't think this is a major change. I think this is more of a quality of life fix for them, where it's like we don't like they put together a really cool club, but the bouncer keeps punching them in the face. That is effectively what was happening. So they just like removed the bouncer a little more, or helped the people trying to get in. They gave the people getting in some IDs, some fake IDs.
Exactly.
And we're like, get in there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, I still don't believe that lets you like breeze through the rest of the DLC. You'll still need to explore, and you'll still need to collect those skibbity fragments, because that's the like after that first area or that first hurdle, there's going to be way harder enemies, way harder bosses. Everything is still very, very difficult. So yeah, and I think it's a placebo.
I think it's primarily a placebo. Yes. And I what it really does is I think it emphasized to people like, oh, they're improving the strength of the skibbity fragments, so I should be prioritizing. I did read like someone on the Reddit, and this is anecdotal, but I don't think it's I don't think it's wrong either, that they were like, I was summoning people for boss fights, and I've summoned a ton of people now, and almost every single person I summoned on boss fights where you should be way more powerful, they all had skibbity tree fragment levels of like 3 or 4. And it's like, and they should be at like 8 or 9 at least at this point. And I think by FromSoftware being like, listen, we're putting out a patch to tune things by improving the strength of the skibbity tree fragments. I think it's going to click in a lot of people's heads that they, I should be prioritizing finding those things, and that'll help as well.
I don't know if it's widely known that when you summon, the bosses get harder.
Right.
So that is if you summon 3 people, the boss is much harder. So it's not an easy. Often, like if you're like summoning and you're having trouble, stop summoning. You might find the boss is easier if you solo it. Like that has been the way since early days of like FromSoftware games.
Yep.
So always try and solo them if you can.
It's the other thing with these From games where your experience with these bosses is going to be yours, because there's going to be one that you just crush sort of no problem that other people struggle with, and there's going to be at least one that you struggle with that everyone else is like, no, that was pretty easy, what are you talking about? So
yeah,
I mean, and then there's the ones that are like kind of hard for everybody.
That's why when everyone was like, oh my God, this is so hard, I didn't say anything. Because I was like, everyone struggles in different ways. And then when people were like, we made journalist mode, everyone. I was like, shut up. The game, all you people that needed to make journalist mode, like I had no trouble with any of the bosses. Grow up.
And like that's been every journalist has been that. And that's the one like this, you don't get to make that joke for this time.
Yeah. I said it like we recorded spot on yesterday. And I that'll be out today. And I like proclaim journalist mode is dead. Like journalist mode, the Cuphead meme is dead.
You're right,
like,
it's dead.
It's gone. I'm the new standard now.
It's not funny anymore.
I did all of that shit. Like, look at all the other look at all the people that played Elden Ring and completed it before it was out and anyone had it. Like me, the Mitchell Salzmans of the world, like Blessing, whoever it may be, Andy Cortez, everyone. We had like 0 issues. I mean,
like, most Dave people got video of like beating every single one without summons and stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Like that came out early on too. It was impressive stuff.
Yeah, exactly. It's absolutely fine. Like grow up. It's just. I have I'm gonna make a little video about it just from like myself. Maybe I'll put it on TikTok. But like I have a theory of why this is happening. And it's all I'm gonna talk about it on there as well. So. Look out for that. Follow my TikTok.
Look for his TikTok, everybody. Go.
It's Demolition Tam.
Demolition Tam. It's a perfect name.
That's a good one.
Mesmer took me like 30 or 40 tries. That's the one that was really tough for me. And then right after that, I did the Centipede Lady, and I beat her first try. And it was like, okay. See, it's like everything balances out. It
balances out. Exactly. Yep. So Mesmer is meant to be tricky.
Right. That's the one that was like, clearly that's going to be. I think that's the one we did I put it in here that Let Me Solo Her is doing that now? Let Me Solo Him is which is really funny because Mesmer in the grand scheme of things isn't the difficult boss like that most people are struggling with, especially. So the fact that I think Mesmer is a skill check moment, which is why I think a lot of people are struggling there, which is why Let Me Solo Him is probably hanging out there for now until people figure it out, and then we'll move to another boss later on, I think. Yeah, it was the big thing. It was like, man, I just really my character was not going to be able to block, so I just got to really get these dodge timings down and sort of take a deep breath and actually have some patience. And once I was able to dial that in, then it's like, okay, I can beat this.
There are a couple of bosses that I watch videos and they were doing moves I'd never seen because I smoked them so fast that they could not even get their full move set out, which was like, it's really funny and really like, it feels great, but also it means that, there's like parts of boss phases that I haven't properly learned because they just never use that move on me. And like, it's so annoying that it's like, I can't just hit like refight boss because I want to learn the rest of the moveset.
Yeah, totally. I want that too. I'm like,
they put it in Sekiro. They like just dropped all the where it's like, you can just fight these bosses again. And also at a certain point, we've got a harder variant with new moves in there. So you can like inner versions. I would love if they went back and just dropped a like boss rush mode for Elden Ring.
That would be fantastic. All right. And the reviews climbed to mostly positive. They'll continue climbing because people are just going to get good and stop blaming the game. All right. A ransomware gang claims to have hacked 1.5 terabytes of data from FromSoftware owner Kadokawa. This is from Chris Scullion at VGC. A ransomware gang claims to have hacked 1.5 terabytes of data from Kadokawa. As noted on Twitter by cybersecurity account Falcon Feeds, the Black Suit Group has posted a message on the dark web in which it claims to have private information on Kadokawa employees and will publish it if it isn't paid enough. Our team has gained access to the Kadokawa network almost a month ago, the group claims, stating that its reason is its business processes are being interrupted. The group says it has been able to download contacts, DocuSign papers, legal papers, financial data, and other internal use only papers and confidential data. It also claims to have personal info, payments, contacts, emails, etc. from Kadokawa employees. The email and data usage of Kadokawa's platform users and other items such as presentations, coding, and payment transactions. The group says it will release the data on July 1st unless Kadokawa pays them enough money. This is something that's happened pretty frequently now, and it's going to probably continue happening. I think the accepted thing for a lot of these companies is don't pay, and the data is going to have to get out there. So Kadokawa is going to be pretty exposed, and it stinks. But it's paying these. There's no guarantee that paying them is going to actually stop this stuff from getting out. Is usually what happens here.
Yeah, I mean, it's really funny because they're like, "Hey, we can fix this for you as well afterwards after you pay us."
Yeah,
like, are you stupid?
Yeah,
you think they're gonna pay you after that? Yeah, but I would be like, yeah. Let's do the fixing part. Send me your email, so I can get you onboarded into our HR things and just make sure you get all your benefits. And then when they send that, just be like, "You're going to jail. I have all your details."
Yep.
Fucking don't be stupid.
There was like a hacker that there was like the Valve hacker, right? Where Valve's like, listen,
they hired him.
They were like pretending they were going to hire him so they could honeypot him, and actually was like, okay, come in for a job interview. We're just actually really impressed by the way you were able to get in our system. I'm Gabe Newell. I'm literally emailing you back and talking about giving you a job, and then the person showed up and got arrested. Yeah, I
like to imagine that when he showed up, Gabe was doing the idle animation from Counter-Strike where you're holding a knife and he's like waving it like this, and you're like, oh shit, this is why they call him the Knife King.
That is what they call him on the internet and on the streets.
I hope Kadokawa sends like someone to like find. They should just put out a little video of like a dude suiting up in a knight armor from like a FromSoftware game and being like, hackers, this is who we're sending to get you.
Just slowly walking.
Like a dude wearing like the fucking, like, I don't know, Dragon Slayer armor or some shit like that.
Just doing the animation where like the NPC sees you and like okay, it's like it's bracing for combat. Is it going to start walking towards me or not?
Just a lad dressed as Executioner Smo from like Dark Souls 1, and they're like, oh fuck.
We'll see what happens, but this is it's been happening everywhere. The auto industry was basically, or the auto sales industry was like shut down for the last couple of weeks because there was this massive ransomware attack on the service that every single dealership uses. So they've been having to write down information on pen and paper, and like it's been a big problem. So
I think at this point, like if you're in any sort of industry, just double check your IT, man. Just have a look, see what's going on in there.
Yeah, that's the Nintendo was talking about doing that this past week as well. They're like, hey, we're gonna like re-up our IT security based on all these leaks happening.
Yeah.
All right, what we're gonna do now is we're gonna take a quick break. When we come back, let's talk about Concord, huh? Those previews came out, and I'm curious to see what people are saying about it right after this. All right, we are back. Concord devs respond to everyone hating on the trailer. This is from Zach Swisen at Kotaku. Earlier this month, during PlayStation's most recent State of Play, the world was formally introduced to the team-based first-person shooter Concord via story trailer. The reception was not great, but the devs behind the game are still excited for players to see more of Concord and finally play it later this year. Concord was first revealed in 2023 with a vague sci-fi teaser featuring a sniper rifle. We didn't know what it was until May's State of Play, where the sci-fi shooter opened the show and took up a large portion of the event. The game's first big story trailer flopped online, with many unfavorably comparing it to Guardians of the Galaxy. Some gameplay shown during the event also didn't go over well, with people online unsure if the world needs yet another 5v5 class-based hero shooter. And now the devs at Firewalk Studios have responded to the backlash. In an interview with VGC, During a preview event for the game, Concord's director of IP, Kim Cranes, reflected on the reaction to the trailer and how it's just a tiny slice of the full game. Yeah, that trailer, that moment is such a tiny slice of everything that we've been working on for years and years, said Cranes. We're excited for the game and for the IP, and for the game to be in people's hands and the IP to be in people's hands. Cranes further explained that players will be able to learn more about this world via the Galactic Guide and weekly updates that will add cutscenes and lore to the game, and according to the developer, all of that couldn't be included in a short debut trailer. You'll start to fall in love with the depths of the characters, said Cranes. That's something that you learn week to week. Their personalities will unfold. Their relationships will unfold for you. Their backstories as well. None of that is something you could see in a tiny little slice. Tam, the previews are out for this game. The way that they are presenting it continues to be, there is a heavy emphasis on the narrative and on the story mode. And what they're saying here is like each week there will be like some tiny little narrative like film cutscene that is in the game that will update the story, and then the Galactic Guide is basically like a backstory hub where you can go and read about information about the characters in the world. And does that do anything for you, Tam?
No. I think what does something for me is seeing more of the game and speaking to people that have now played it. Jake Decker on GameSpot went and played it for us, and he came back and he was like, I'm very shocked at how fun it was.
Yes.
And Jake is someone who plays a lot of competitive first-person shooters. He's got hundreds of hours in.
His preview's very good, everybody.
Specifically, yeah. But I think that part of it is what makes me. I mean, I was going to play either way. I try and play everything so I know stuff
right
about it and have context around these games. So I was going to play either way. Now I'm a little more like excited to get my hands on it.
Sure.
I want to check it out more. I think the issue we have is the stuff they're talking about being the big differentiator isn't really stuff that people care about at this stage of the game's kind of reveal and marketing. If you're saying your big differentiator is all these small, like, you know, vignettes about story, no one cares right now.
Yeah.
Like, there's no investment in it. People didn't care about Overwatch until they started playing Overwatch and loved Overwatch and then got really, really, really into those characters. So if you're just presenting these characters and being like, these are the things that are going to be a very big area of focus for us, they can only judge based on what they've seen. And what they've seen are characters that are being reductive, Guardians of the Galaxy style archetype tropes, which are done to death right now. And they will judge it on their most surface level because you're not giving them anything beyond that right now. I'm sure what they're saying is like, these characters have depth and they will be more interesting than the assessment you're making of them being just Guardians of the Galaxy like stand-ins. But right now, that doesn't exist. And that's the thing that you're talking about the most. So they can only really connect those two dots and say, this is not for me, I don't like this. The gameplay itself, it plays and feels better according to what people have told me than what showed. I think the issue that the gameplay had when they initially showed it is the gameplay followed a CGI video of these characters, and there was such a stark differential in how the CGI looked and then the gameplay looked, which is obvious. Like, very few games are able to match CGI in gameplay, but it's such a stark difference between what they show you and what you're doing that it also becomes incongruous. Again, it's another part of that people are struggling to connect the dots on, because it's like, you showed me these characters like running around and like saving each other, falling off the side of a cliff, and then you cut to a hero-based shooter. So the thing I'm looking at and the thing you're telling me doesn't match, which again means like people can only judge it for what they've seen, and the thing that they've seen is something that they've seen many, many times before. Like, that is something that like they're going to look at and be like, this sucks, I don't care about this. And unfortunately, I think that was a pretty bad reveal. Again, I am a person who's saying I am open to it. I am excited to play. I played a crap ton of Counter-Strike in my life, thousands of hours of it. I played a crap ton of Siege. I've played a crap ton of Overwatch specifically. Like, I did an entire documentary series on Overwatch with Lucy and a few others. We love that game. So I'm definitely, and I also play Valorant. Like, I'm gonna play this game, and it's probably designed to make me like it. But everything I saw of it at that point was like, it's not a good start, man. And I don't think that this, director or developer is saying that people are incorrect. which
No.
is good of them to do that. Like, it's them saying this is a small part of it.
Yeah.
I still don't think that the thing that they're marketing it or like really harping on works as the main thing. I think you need they're putting the cart before the horse. Like, the horse is what's going to be driving it. You're not talking about the horse. You're not showing me how sweet that horse is and how like muscular and how big the balls are, like Red Dead did, Of
course.
When Red Dead 2 came out, Rockstar was straight in there and said, like, these balls are real.
And they get big, they get small.
Right. They get big, they get small, they sweat. And that game proved
they go from the window, they go to the wall.
Yeah, they skeet. What's going on? Show me.
Set it up, knock it down. Hell yeah.
But but I think that's the issue that they have right now. I think they need to pivot away from being like, we've got weekly story updates that you can look in this part of the game, and no one cares about that. No one's invested in your gameplay yet. So you can't do that right now. And also, like, the idea of like, hey, we have this repository for lore. It's like intense Destiny 1 vibes, where it's like, hey, you got to read these grimoire cards. And short of some absolute freaks, most people are like, I ain't doing that, man. Like, just put it in the game.
I don't think you can market that. You can't like say that is one of the big things in your game. I think that you're right. That is a bad look to me, where that's something I want to hear from the freaks. I want to hear that someone got so into this game, they're like, and then there's this place you can go and you can read about all this shit, and I couldn't stop reading it because I am a freak for this game. That's good marketing because it's word of mouth. You being like, and you're probably going to go and you read about our lore. No, honey.
No, you can't use that.
You can't do that.
You can't use that in the selling phase. Like, in the marketing early, trying to get people in. That's not what you use, man.
Because it sounds like, it sounds lazy. I know they're not. It just sounds like we wrote all this stuff down, and here's a text file that you can read it in. I know there's so much more work. I'm not actually saying that. It just like it can be perceived that way in this phase.
I believe that I want that game to succeed, and I believe that
I'm 100%.
I believe that there's something in that gameplay that is going to be really cool and interesting. And like, a lot of people have pointed this out, but like, Sony purchased them for a reason. They saw that game and were like, we need this studio.
I agree.
And I imagine, that's not to say like all these corporations and like platform holders publish everything, make the right purchasing decisions. We've seen many times they don't. But like, from what I can tell, they looked at this game and were like, we need this in our portfolio. And that says a lot. So I believe that game is going to be fun to some degree. I just feel like the handling of it right now is too much in the trying to get this to become a thing that people are willing to commit to long term than just showing off that this game is good. Like, show off the game is good, and then later you can say there's going to be so much of it, dog. Like, we're going to have stories and all this kind of stuff. Please be excited for it. But right now they're like, we've got these stories and we've got these characters that you don't really like right now, but we're going to keep telling you how much you're going to like them and how much you're going to have to interface with them. No, just play more of the game. Show the game. Like, I think that if they do, when they do, I assume the open beta, alpha, whatever it is.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in the next story. Yeah,
that will be when people are like, oh, I care about this now. That is when you come in and be like, you remember this character that you just played off and you liked? Dave Bautista.
Yeah. Exactly. I think the context is really a big, powerful thing here. When Overwatch was shown off, it was like, here is the new game from a team that you are very familiar with and you're very interested in what they're going to be doing next. And then at the same time, it's they're good with characters because that's half the reason you like World of Warcraft at this point. And they have the best like CGI team in the world. So when they were doing their cinematics, people paid attention. And it's what that audience wanted. I think the issue with Concord is this is something new for the PlayStation audience that they're trying to like win over. Like, the first party like PlayStation expectation is still the massive single player narrative games. And what all of this strikes me as is they hear that like, okay, the PlayStation audience likes narrative, so we're going to do our 5v5 multiplayer shooter, but we got to give them what they want. So let's tell them, don't worry, there's a story mode, and that's why this game is going to be worth $40 or $45, whatever it's going to cost when it comes out. And I think the trouble there is like, that's, they want that, but they don't want that in their multiplayer game, or at least they don't know they want that yet. And so you're kind of selling to people that actually didn't want to hear this message, even though you thought they did. Also, there was just more. I think Tracer just immediately had more appeal than anything that was in the Concord trailer. That doesn't mean that will be the case long term. I think you're right. Once people care about the game, they're more likely to care about the characters.
The first, I believe, trailer for Overwatch was the kids in the museum looking at the Doomfist kind of like arm,
Right.
And then like a fight breaking out around them, which is so much more dynamic than what we saw.
Yeah, you're
it was
right.
like, but also I remember watching that and being like, that seems cool. It didn't have the impact. The sentiment that I attached to that trailer was retrospective. Once I got really into Overwatch, I went back and watched that, and I was like, holy shit, this is so cool. Winston's hair, like, all these, there's a Widowmaker is here, and they're looking at this thing, and then later on, when they were like, that thing in that first trailer they were first looking at, that arm, that's going to be on a character named Doomfist.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh my god, that was cool. Again, cart before the horse. The other thing that I'm really, like, concerned about is, like, as far as I can tell, this is a full-price game in an age of hero shooters that are free.
It's $40. It's $40, so not full price, but that is a big number still.
That is a big number next to Valorant coming out, presumably for free.
Yeah,
you know, Overwatch being free there, Destiny being playable for a really
Call of Duty having
long
a free to play
time.
component. Yes,
Call of Duty, you know, and like Marvel Rivals coming
Apex
out
Legends.
and that kind of stuff.
Yep.
Apex Legends. I know that. I think the thing I'm pointing at is they better have a solid pitch for, you know, what you're buying into is the future of content.
That is what they're saying. Right? They're saying that you get the characters going forward and you get the maps going forward for free.
Yeah, exactly.
By paying the upfront price. It is very similar to the structure that the original Overwatch had.
Yes, exactly. And I think that they need to do that a lot more, but also like you got to make sure that people get it.
And then the monetization is cosmetics, just so people, in case people are wondering. I'm sure they are. Yes.
Yeah. And obviously, like everyone at this point, Fortnite is such a juggernaut that people just assume that, you know, they're not coming anywhere close to that.
Right. And it's like the world has clearly changed since 2015 when Overwatch came out, where now Fortnite's here, and you know, a Battlefield game come out and it just didn't make sense in this world when it was a full price game trying to compete with all these free to play shooters. So
I really hope it goes the way of Overwatch.
Yeah,
I really hope it goes the way of Overwatch, where I remember looking at Overwatch and being like, yep, seems fine. And then when I got into the beta, I was like, oh god, this is crack, and could not stop playing that beta. So that is what I hope for. I want that game to succeed. I want nothing. I always want games to succeed. I always want developers to succeed, especially new ones. And I hope it does. And I have hope that they can course correct it to a degree. It doesn't require much. I think it's just like reframing.
Well,
I also think that they believe in the content they have. Just that first showing was a bit rough.
I think you're right, and I think you said it earlier. The beta is what's going to change things, and so the game comes out August 23rd, and then Concord Early Access beta starts July 12th and runs through the 14th, and then there is an open beta set for July 18th that runs through the 21st. So that'll be about a month before the game comes out, a little bit less than a month from now. And this is from Sal Romano at Gamatsu, who writes, publisher Sony Interactive Entertainment and developer Firewalk Studios will host an early access beta for Concord on July 12th through the 14th, followed by an open beta on July 18th through the 21st. And that was according to the companies. The open beta will be available for all players, but the early access beta will only be available for users who pre-order Concord. So if you're wondering how to get in there, there it is.
Whenever I hear Concord, I hear Jay-Z saying Tom Ford from Magna Carta Holy Grail. And now I want someone to like cut that together.
Beautiful.
Concord.
There you go. Just take that soundbite right there.
Yeah, put it over Tom Ford.
There you go. You're right. We'll play it. We'll know then. I think that's what this is going to come down to. The first showing didn't do them any favors. That doesn't mean that the game is doomed, especially if people play the game and are into it. I think there's going to be a lot of PlayStation players who will be like, I don't care about that trailer. I'll play it. Let me see if I like it. And at that point, we'll see. Also, this could be the one that like pops off on PC, right? The way that Helldivers 2 did. So
yeah,
we'll see. All right, Days Gone Dev apologized to the fans for continuously getting fed false hope.
Sorry, I just looked at one story below that, the Donkey Kong one.
Oh yeah, I mean, that's a Dragon's Day story right there. I couldn't help myself. We'll get to that in a second, everybody.
With that?
From Kyle Knight at Dual Shockers, Kevin McAllister, the community manager for Ben Studio, the makers of Bubsy 3D, has apologized to fans for continuously getting fed false hope and poor information by people looking for likes surrounding a potential Days Gone sequel. Damn. McAllister also confirmed that the studio is now working on a new IP, shutting down any sort of belief that a Days Gone sequel would be coming anytime soon. I apologize.
This dude went from defending his house as a child against the sticky and wet bandits to running the fucking studio that makes, or community manager for the studio that makes Days Gone.
The Ben Studio house. Damn.
He's like, shut up, stop talking shit about my game. I'm going to throw a wrench at you.
I will fucking to kill you with a paint can to your face.
I'm sorry, Kevin. I'm sure you've had that your entire life.
Yeah.
I apologize. It was low-hanging fruit. And
you had to pluck that. Come on.
Yeah. You're doing a great job. I appreciate it.
He says, I apologize to our Days Gone community for continuously getting fed false hope and poor information by people who are looking for likes. It's not fair to you all. We are currently working on a new IP, and when we have actual news to share, it will come from our studio. Although the community manager didn't explicitly state what poor information and false hope he was referring to, it's speculated to be surrounding a post from Days Gone's creative director, John Garvin, who earlier this week revealed that Days Gone's cliffhanger ending was done with the intention of there being a trilogy. Yeah, that John Garvin guy always out there kind of stirring shit.
Is he not at the studio
He's
anymore?
not at the studio and hasn't been for a while.
He's a rogue agent.
He is a rogue agent, and I think for what seems like very good reasons. He kind of seems like a dipshit a little bit. I don't know. Listen, I don't like to judge, but I do love to judge, and I'm going to do it right now. This guy seems like a problem. So,
how long do you reckon before he starts a podcast? He has a weekly stream where he looks more and more haggard and irrelevant by the week.
I want to say he's already done some of the podcast circuit with like those kinds of podcasts over there on the right. I think that's happened a little bit already.
Damn.
Yeah, listen. He just wants to stare at his wife's ass on the back of his hog, you know? Let's just marry that lady and be a biker. Good for him.
I think that we as the games industry should just collectively agree never to utter the words "Days Gone" ever again.
This maybe should be it.
Yeah, I think everyone is done with it. Both the people who are like serious about it and the people who are like bantering about it, and probably the people who are making it, because they're just like, we're done with that, man. We're making it. It's not even a good like punching bag, because like the game is fine. Like it's not Duke Nukem. Like Duke Nukem is still more relevant in terms of taking the piss out of it than Days Gone.
Right, and they're out there apologizing to Days Gone fans, and they're not apologizing to me for what they did to me with Bubsy 3D, where
exactly
they literally made fun of me. They retweeted or they were like lol at me when I was like, hey, what's going on in this game? I can't figure out this puzzle. They didn't help me. They laughed at me.
No, they laughed. Yeah,
no apology there.
I would love it if they modded. Is Days Gone on PC?
I think so. I think it was the first one to go to PC from Sony Interactive Entertainment, right?
Has anyone put Bubsy into Days Gone?
Oh shit! I'll look into it.
Because if they have, you got to do a stream of that.
I guess I have to. Yeah. Wait, why? Bubsy's not my thing. It's not my thing.
I don't know. You already said I guess I have to. So.
All right, while you're looking that up, let's get to this, the most important story of the day.
Like anyone has, which is a fucking absolute L for this industry.
Now that you said something. Donkey Kong could have been called Kong Dong, plus other proposed names. This is from Nintendo Everything.
I vote that we, from now on, along with never speaking the words Days Gone, we should only call Donkey Kong Kong Dong from now on. Yeah.
Donkey Kong is one of Nintendo's most recognized characters and franchises, but it turns out the name could have gone in a different direction. You may recall that in 1983, Nintendo and Universal were going head-to-head in court over the IP. Universal wasn't happy with Donkey Kong, feeling that it was based on King Kong. Nintendo won in the end, and the final name stuck after a judge determined that it was, at best, a parody. Here's what the judge said at the time. Donkey Kong creates a humorous impression by jumping up and down and strutting back and forth to tease Mario. The Donkey Kong gorilla, just the 80s were a wild time. The Donkey Kong gorilla is thus quite different from King Kong, a ferocious gorilla in quest of a beautiful woman who goes on rampages, chases people, crushes them underfoot, or throws them to the ground, and fights with dinosaurs, giant snakes, airplanes, and helicopters, all culminating in his tragic and bloody death. This is a legal ruling.
Yeah.
Gaming historian Norman Caruso published court documents online in 2020. It's now receiving attention from Super Mario Broth, which is where the proposed names for Donkey Kong come from. Super Mario Broth is like a blog that like looks for its deep cut history about Mario. Outside of Kong Dong,
Super Mario Broth is a unhinged name for a website.
But it's a great. They do a great work
pretty
over there.
good, but also like wild.
Yeah. Okay. So, did you look at these other names?
I have not. No.
Okay. All right. Let's
hit me.
Maybe you could like rank them for me as we go.
I just love the idea of a lawyer going, Your Honor, Donkey Kong is clearly just jumping up and down on this pyre to collect a bunch of bananas. I don't believe there's
He's nothing
any
like
point
the
of
woman chasing, murderous, rampaging.
As you can see, Your Honor, he's riding a rhinoceros right now.
All right, here are the other names. Funny Kong, Kong the Kong, Jack
Kong the Kong is fucking great.
Kong the Kong is like, I'm pretty sure, like a really good MC name for. I'm gonna take that for myself.
Yeah.
Jack Kong, Bill Kong.
Bill Kong is amazing.
I think that was my CPA. I think they did my taxes last year. Steel Kong, Giant Kong, Big Kong, Kong Down, Mr. Kong, Custom Kong, Kong Chase, Kong Boy, Kong Man, Kong Fighter, Wild Kong, Rookie Kong, and Kong Holiday.
What is that last one?
I don't. That's
Kong
Michael
Holiday?
J. Fox movie, I think.
Oh my god, this next line is...
There's one...
Holy shit, I don't think I've ever thought about this, and it is incredibly cursed that someone said this out loud.
There's one other tidbit from the documents as well. The judge said that Donkey Kong was farcical and non-sexual in contrast to King Kong.
The judge was wrong.
The judge is a furry.
The judge was wrong. Donkey Kong is 100%
Donkey Kong fucks.
unfarcical and very sexual.
His centerfold in Nintendo Power proves all of that. Nintendo still uses the Donkey Kong IP to this day. Donkey Kong Country Returns HD, a new version of the
Donkey Kong
weekend
is the same kind of Donkey Kong is the same kind of sexual as David Duchovny in that Californication, whatever it's called.
Right,
like he's horny as fuck. Like
right, accidentally sexy but always horny. Yes.
Yeah.
All right, shout out to Kong Dong. All right,
and Bill Kong, obviously.
And Bill Kong, clearly, 100%. Last story here, Xbox Cloud Gaming is coming to Amazon TVs, Darren Bontius, GameSpot. Cloud Gaming, where are you at with it, Tam? Are you like kind of thinking that this is something that still matters or what?
I mean, I'm sure it will matter more to people. I use the Xbox One now and then. I use it to play some Hellblade. It was pretty good. This is not my primary means of playing video games.
Yep.
No shot. Even the idea of a delay in my mind is enough to prevent me from doing that stuff. It could be perfect, and I still would be like, there's a small chance there'll be a delay. I'm not playing that. Also, like I don't have, admittedly, a lot of experience with Amazon's like TV stuff. I have used like their various Fire devices, and let me tell you, that shit is unstable garbage, and it runs like fucking ass. Like, I don't know why they thought this was a good idea. It has to be because
it's Amazon's layer on top of Android, and that always goes poorly.
All that shit is so like disgusting. It makes me feel like I'm a 90-year-old trying to make an iPad work.
Yeah,
it's like it feels like some Fisher Price ass shit.
Yep.
But
literally, that's how I use it. I have Amazon Fire tablets that I turn on to kid mode and give to my kids, and that's the only reason I have it, because they actually have a pretty decent kid mode that I pay like $3 a month for, and they get a bunch of stuff, and it's all ad free. Outside of that use case, I really hate using it.
I mean, I think the market like penetration or the proliferation of those devices is so significant that Microsoft is probably counting on a small percentage of those people engaging with the Xbox app or whatever it's cloud service, and it still being a massive number because of how many of those devices are out there.
Mm-hmm.
I get it. I my hope is that like Microsoft steps in and is like, hey, Amazon, we're going to help you make these devices not shit. And like come up with like a specialist one, which is like, oh, we tweak the Fire TV stick or whatever it is, the set-top box, to make it run better with Xbox. If you're looking to do Xbox specifically, buy this one, but it's still the same price as that. They'll probably have to eat some cost on that as well.
We did see earlier this week. I didn't put in any of the stories on any of the shows this week because we've heard about it before. But there was some like leaked information, more information about the little hockey puck streaming device that Xbox was going to make, and then they've since canceled. It's not going to come out. But so they had their own streaming device where they could have controlled the experience from the top to bottom, and instead they are doing stuff like this, which is putting Xbox Game Pass Ultimate onto other devices, including the Amazon Fire TV. I imagine once you're in there, it'll probably work fine. I just continue to say the idea of the vast majority of people have these Amazon Fire TV sticks, and there's a lot of them, but the idea of them connecting their controller, their video game controller, to then play a game on there, I think there's a very small percentage of people who are actually going to do that. Especially when they're like, okay, this thing costs how much per month? And I got to go find my controller. And does this controller work? How do I connect it? There's Bluetooth. Does this thing have Bluetooth? I think that is going to be, for the audience that is supposedly going to jump onto this, I think they will be, there's enough of a barrier to prevent them from actually taking advantage of it.
If I come into your house and you're playing Gears of War on an Amazon device, I'm bullying you, just FYI, like 100%. You better get ready to get bullied. I'm going to pull your pants up over your head.
Oh, yeah. Of course. All right.
Yeah.
That does it for the news. Let's get to the poll question. I have it right here. Which of these is your most anticipated game coming out of Summer Game Fest? And as a reminder, these were the 4 most wish-listed games coming out of Summer Game Fest. Zelda Echoes of Wisdom is at the top with 33%. Then Astrobot, number 2 at 29%. That's the one I voted for. It's just edged out Zelda for me, but barely. 24% says Doom the Dark Ages. A very good showing for that. And then 13% says Gears of War E-Day.
Ecstasy Day.
Ecstasy Day. People are going to be rolling.
The cogs get high.
I'm just going to drop some E. Listen, the Zelda game's going to have that built-in advantage of the Zelda freaks being out there in force. I think it's a really impressive showing for Astrobot, though. Astrobot was previously...
I'm so excited for Astrobot.
Did you get a chance to play it? I can't remember. Did you?
No, I did not get to play it, sadly. No, we had Mark on our team play it.
Yeah.
And he was raving about it.
Yes,
So.
It's so good. It's so good. It's kind of... Between that and Nintendo World Championships, it's all I'm thinking about right now.
You know what's most exciting about? Sorry to cut you off.
No, please.
For the 100th time,
Tam, that's what the show is. I have zero complaints. I'm glad you're here.
The thing I keep hearing is there's so much more of that game that hasn't been shown. That is like crazy creative. So
yes, they keep implying.
I am very excited to see what else they go. I bet you there's like stuff that I bet you there's a massive Bloodborne thing in there, like that beyond just that one character skin. I wouldn't be surprised if there's like some wildly deep cuts in there, some vib ribbon ass shit happening or something like that.
It was such a delight to finish playing the demo. I crushed it, by the way. Everyone else took way longer than me. No time at all. I stand up, I turn around, and I see like the PR people being like, "Oh, we know you like Astro. How'd you like it?" and stuff. But then I see, the main developer. I think like Nicholas Doucette, I think is his name. Sorry, Doucette is right. And he just has this look on his face, like he knows what the team has done and how good it is. Like he just has this like mischievous grin of like, oh, you liked it? Well, guess what? There is so much more. I cannot wait. This game is not that far away. September, right? September 6th, I believe. So
God, let me have it.
Just got to get through most of summer and then we're there. Not even all of summer. All right, everybody. That did it for the poll question. I'm going to get the next one set up. Before we get to that, though, Tam, why don't you tell people what you have going on this week, where people can find you, all that good stuff.
We have is UPF happening today?
UPF is happening. They're playing some Fortnite. They're gonna do the new Fortnite resurgence mode.
Fork Knife. Let's go.
Fork Knife is happening.
We have that. We have Spot On going up on GameSpot, which is talking about the Elden Ring difficulty. Please give that a watch and share it and all that kind of business. Lucy's new show launched earlier this week. Star Players talk to celebrities about their gaming journey. It is really, really cool. Really fun. So please do check that out and give that a share as well. That's pretty much. We're back on. I think Jeff's is coming out or has come out.
I think I think there was an episode dropped this week. I think that's right.
Yeah. So that was a really fun one because it's 2 episodes that are like bangers. Yeah, and then we'll do it all again next week, and it'll be great.
Yep. I am programming note. I'm out next week, so there will be no Game Mess mornings. The team is talking about doing some stuff in the morning here and there, but it will be a shorter week because July 4th. So tune in early next week for whatever the crew puts together. I know they are doing some stuff, so you'll definitely get some entertainment next week.
Yeah.
Let's see here. New poll question. And this will be answered when I get back, everybody, so you've got plenty of time to vote. Do you think that Kojima will work on Metal Gear in any capacity again before the universe ends? Yes or no? Those are your two options. We'll see how people are feeling about that. Just think about, the long term, and it could be the change of leadership at Konami, all that kind of stuff. We'll see. I don't know. I don't want to sway the vote or whatever. All right. Oh, for UPF, Jamie at Christmas Eve was asking if we were going to terminate Conor McGregor and Hitman. That sounds like fun, but no, the crew's already put together a fortnight, and I'm not on there. We got GB Jr. coming in because they're going to let me go get ready for my trip. So, we will have a BCR today, everybody. So,
Jeff, look at my face right now.
Yeah,
this is the man that desperately needs to take a shit. Wrap it up.
All right, you heard the man, everybody. Tam, thank you so much for talking about video games with me today while you got to go poo-poo. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Until next time, have a good one. Take care of yourself, and goodbye. Look at him squirm.
Fuck. Goodbye.
Don't make a Kong dong.